Kuzongpo and a very warm welcome to the Current Affairs program. I am Pema Suki. Today, my guests are the Byers family. Bill Byer, who is here as anesthetist with the JDWNRH, and you came to Bhutan through an organization called Health Volunteers Overseas. So Bill has been also writing about his journey and the experiences through the blog called Byers Without Borders. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Jennifer, you are also a creator of the Yoga for Kids, and through your programs you have been giving trainings on meditations and mindfulness. So thank you for joining us today. And Isabel Byer and her twin sister Lily Byer, and the youngest one is Stella Byer. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
We'll start with Bill. How did you decide to come to Bhutan, since you have been traveling all over the world, but why Bhutan?
Well, Jen and I had been in the Himalaya before, in northern India and Nepal, and we've also been to Tibet. So we have a special place for this part of the world in our heart. We love the mountains, we love the culture. And then when we were looking for opportunities to volunteer, Health Volunteers Overseas had a placement, longer term placement. We knew we wanted to be somewhere at least a month or longer. Bhutan is a great place for families. It's safe. So it was just a natural fit. They had a position here where they needed somebody to instruct the anesthesia residents at the National Referral Hospital. And we love this part of the world, so it was just an easy choice.
To Jennifer, you are here as an independent, and I believe you just don't stay idle, but you have been doing some volunteers works as well. So maybe you can share about what you have been doing in Bhutan during your 2-month stay.
Sure. Yes, I am the dependent of Bill during our stay here, but I need to be busy. So I have met with the principal and program director of the Early Learning Center, and so we have been working with all their campuses and bringing yoga and mindfulness to their schools.
To Isabel, what do you think about Bhutan? I'm sure that it's like two different places, right? Two different worlds, like US and Bhutan. What do you think about it?
It's very beautiful and it's nice and safe. I really like it.
So do you feel the same, Lily?
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, I like all the dogs.
It's very beautiful here, and it's nice hiking up the mountains.
Oh, you like hiking up the mountain. Have you been anywhere hiking?
Yes.
To where?
Buddha Point and Tango.
Do you wish to come back to Bhutan?
Yes.
Okay. So what about the schoolings about them? Do they go for homeschooling, or have they been enrolled in one of the schools in Bhutan? I'm sure it's like for a few months, but what are the arrangements for them?
So for the short time that we've been here, well, I chose to homeschool the children, but being at ELC, they also get to experience a Bhutan school and meet Bhutanese children and get to experience the classes that they take there as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is your second time back to Bhutan. What brought you back to Bhutan?
Last year we came for only 1 month, and when you're in the States, that sounds like a very long time to go without a salary and be away from work. Most people in the U.S. don't take that much extended time off from their jobs. So we thought it would be enough, but when we were leaving, we felt like we still had a lot of stuff undone in Bhutan. At the hospital, at ELC, and then also on our weekends, some little adventures that we still wanted to have. So our hearts were really sad when we left last year, so we organized it so we could come back this year and spend twice as much time.
Mm-hmm. When you knew that you're going back to Bhutan, what was your reaction?
I was so excited. I was really happy, and it's also nice to come back to a place that you've been before because you're a little bit more familiar. And maybe you've met people and you're excited to see them again, just like the students at ELC or the restaurateurs that we used to frequent last year. We were excited to see them again. Yeah.
Talking about the healthcare in Bhutan, what is your observation?
I see that the need for the healthcare infrastructure is outpacing what's in existence, but the Ministry of Health is doing a good job of recruiting specialists to come in and put that infrastructure into place. The Medical University and the National Referral Hospital are doing a good job with residency programs to train healthcare providers in country rather than traditionally where they've always been sent out of country. I think that's a real step in the right direction. The organization I'm here volunteering through, their mandate is education. So a lot of healthcare volunteerism, you go and you clinically work, but the volunteers with HVO here, our focus is to teach Bhutanese so that there is a sustainable healthcare infrastructure after we leave. And now having been here twice, I see that progress happening. This summer, the first anesthesia resident from the first anesthesia residency program based here in Thimphu will graduate, Dr. Teshi Wangchuck, and that's really exciting. I mean, a Bhutanese-grown anesthesiologist, whereas previously all the Bhutanese anesthesiologists had to leave the country to get trained, and he's a great provider, and I know he's going to be teaching Bhutanese anesthesiologists in the future, and it's exciting to see that happening, that growth.
So how cooperative are the colleagues that you worked with?
Oh, they're very excited to have the volunteers here. Everybody's very interested, and because a lot of them have been outside of the country for medical school, they understand kind of the Western approach to a lot of the practices that we have. And so they're excited to learn and implement those things here in the country.
So to Jennifer, if you could talk more about your You Play Yoga for kids. So maybe what are the programs that you have under the yoga?
Oh, yeah, great. I would love to talk about that. So I created Yo Play Yoga for Kids about 10 years ago, right when they were born. And it's a program I created to bring yoga and mindfulness to children in the U.S. and Canada and now Bhutan and internationally. So we incorporate yoga and play. So that's where we came up with the name Yo Play. So it's a great way to get children involved in yoga and to teach them how to deal with their big emotions, so to self-regulate.
Since you have been working very closely with the ELC, right? So how supportive or how forthcoming are the school when it comes to having your yoga program in the schools? Have they taken some of the programs?
Yes, they've really taken on the program, and even more now, I'm going to be training the teachers more in depth on how they can do that themselves so it can carry on here after we leave. So I'm very excited about that. They already meditate every day, and so this just brings and it enhances that, and it brings more of the movement aspect, and so it'll only strengthen their meditation practice as well as their focus for their studies.
So mindfulness and the GNH.
Yes, goes hand in hand.
Hand in hand. I just wanted to ask you about the correlation between the mindfulness and the GNH.
Well, I think any kind of happiness has to start inside in a space of quiet appreciation for the moment, because nothing is eternal, nothing lasts. And so I think mindfulness brings you in touch with the present moment and where you are in that moment. And when you start in that place, then you can meet the world in a place of grace and compassion. And I think that's probably the foundation of GNH. I mean, it's not a top-down program. It starts in the schools with that daily meditation and with that appreciation for just the breath in the present moment.
What was the challenge that you had to overcome?
Well, I mean, certainly there's a lot of conveniences that we have in the U.S. that aren't here. Occasional power outages, struggle with the internet, a lot of these what we call first world problems. But what you quickly realize, and one of the reasons why we like to come to Bhutan, is because all of those things in the U.S. don't necessarily make you happy. You think they're going to make you happy, and so you're always striving for these trappings of the modern age and trappings of the Western world, and inundated with media advertisements telling you that you need the next iPhone or you can't be happy, or you need so many likes on your Facebook page or you can't be happy. And then when we come to Bhutan, it really does force us to simplify our life. And what we find is we're even more happy. We're in the kitchen dancing when we're making dinner, and we're going on hikes, and we're just being silly. Yesterday we did our laundry all together. And, you know, in the States there's a washing machine, and we throw it in the washing machine and we all go our separate ways. And the lifestyle here just forces us closer as a family. So maybe these hurdles coming here of things that we think we might lack, but in a way it makes our life richer without them.
Do you agree or
Absolutely. Well, last year it was a wonderful experience because we realized, before we came, we realized that we wanted to change our life a little bit. After being in Bhutan, we realized exactly that. We don't need all the things and all the stuff and to make us happy. Like, we're happier when we have less, and we're happier when we get to spend time together. And so when we left Bhutan last year, we gave up all our stuff. We sold our house, and we sold 90% of all our stuff, and we just freed ourselves. So, and it's just a wonderful feeling and a wonderful experience, and that's also what it brought us back too, so we could live this way again.
What makes you happy in Bhutan?
Well, I like all the mountains. It feels like I'm really protected by the mountains. And all the dogs here. Well, I like spending more time with my family, because in the States we were mostly just separated. Dad would be at work most of the day, and we would be at school, and Mom would probably be teaching yoga or something like that. And here where Dad's working less hours, and we go with Mom to teach yoga. And I mean, I miss my friends and everything, but it's still fun.
Do you have anything to say, Stella?
Why I like Bhutan is because I feel really protected by the mountains, and I really like going on trips sometimes to Punaka and stuff. Trying to go around 108 times.
Culture of volunteerism, especially in the US, is quite strong. So it's not just in US, but you have decided to bring out of US, like in Bhutan. So what made you do that?
I think part of the reason is Jen and I have been fortunate enough to travel internationally and realized it opens your worldview up when you start to meet people from other countries. And we wanted the children to have that experience. It's so easy to point at the differences between people and countries when you stay behind your own borders. But when you start to travel, what you really realize how alike everyone is. I mean, we all really want the same thing. We want our kids to go to a decent school, to be well fed, to have a nice roof over their head. It's so much more fun traveling with the kids internationally because now we interact with parents. When we didn't have children when we traveled, it was a completely different experience. Now we interact with parents in our neighborhood and we watch the kids play, and it's just a more rich and fulfilling experience.
What Bhutan can learn from the US when it comes to the culture of volunteerism?
Yes, we have a big culture of volunteerism in the US and Canada as well. But here in Bhutan, that I think it would just be a natural fit because of the kindness of the people and how appreciative the Bhutanese are. It makes like an easy fit for volunteerism here.
I think volunteerism in Bhutan is an easy fit just because of the Buddhist foundations that you have and the idea of service and helping others. And I see volunteerism here when you look at the dzongs and the monasteries. They're largely built by volunteer labor. I mean, you do have a history of it. Maybe you don't see it in the more technical fields But there are monasteries on tops of peaks here that were built there by people carrying rocks from the valley for free. So I think you do have a history of it here, and it fits naturally with the religion here.
So you said, as per your observation, you have seen the sense of volunteerism among the Bhutanese. But is there like more that needs to be done?
Now, I don't know if I can speak to that because of my experience isn't that broad with groups here in Bhutan. I walked to work the other day, and there was like an entire school, children in their tracksuits picking up trash along the road. So I think that, it is there is a sense of it here. I believe there is. Certainly at some socioeconomic levels, when you're just trying hard to get by and feed your own family, you don't have a place or a time in your life to be able to give back. And I think, and that's what we try to teach our children. When you're as blessed as we are with having an abundance, it's your responsibility to give back to the world. And I think, most great leaders and most great spiritual teachers, despite what religion or faith, teach that. If you are lucky enough to have an abundance, it's your responsibility to share.
To Jen, do you ever think that now like time has come for us to be in one place and not to travel?
Our plan is to travel with the children for a few more years, and we realize that as they get older, we will become less their focus and their friends will become more their focus, and that's just the nature of child development. So we do plan to settle down as they reach high school age, and then we will guide them through high school and into university, and then we'll go travel again.
So you're not going to stop, I think?
No, never. It's in our blood, I think.
How challenging is for you to be with Bill and also take care of the children at the same time and traveling as well?
Well, it's not a challenge to be with Bill or the children. And because we've gotten rid of so much stuff, it makes things a lot easier. But I never like packing. That's never my favorite thing. And so we're doing a lot of packing and unpacking and moving around. But it just gives you more opportunity to live with less.
How do you sustain? Because when you volunteer, I think you don't get a paycheck.
How do we pay for all this?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, so when we are here in Bhutan, all of our travel here comes out of our own pocket. And while we're here, we're not earning a salary. The organization we volunteer through does supply us with an apartment. But beyond that, all of our food and transportation here is all our own responsibility. So we do have to go back to the States, and I work contract work. So I fill in doing anesthesia in the States, working clinically, doing 3-4 month contracts. And since we don't own a lot in the States, we were able to save pretty quickly so we can do more of this kind of thing. But yeah, it's also one of the reasons why we can't stay longer in Bhutan. Like I said, in the States, coming here, if you're in the States and you tell somebody you're going to come to Bhutan for 1 or 2 months, they think it's such a long time. But what you realize when you come here, that time goes by very fast, and it just doesn't feel long enough. But unfortunately, financially, we do have to return to earn a living.
Yeah, I understand that financially is one of the problems. Or maybe you have something to add.
And I just wanted to add, too, we have very supportive family and friends that also help when they can to give us funds or things to bring to give to Bhutan and help us make this transition easier. So
I think through the blog you have been also donating medical supplies. Is it true?
We brought some supplies with us this year. It's never as much as is needed, for sure. I've been trying to reach out to some people who are representatives of medical supply companies back in the U.S. to try to get some bigger shipments. You can only bring so much in a suitcase, unfortunately, and it gets used really fast. But we try to do what we can. Jen collected items for the ELC school, and I collected some medical supplies.
Just your opinion, just wanted to know, is there anything that the healthcare system here in Bhutan has to improve? Be it in expertise or machines?
My expertise is very limited, so I can't speak across the entire Ministry of Health. And I think they're moving in the right direction as far as getting specialists trained. Right now it seems to be a bit of a workforce problem. Certainly there are equipment issues and supply chain issues. When you make one supply order a year at a hospital, supplies can run out months in advance of the next shipment, and that can be difficult. But specialists, especially in the district and regional hospitals, is my understanding, would be a big help. Some of the regional and district hospitals are staffed maybe by one GDMO who's fresh out of training. What they're doing now is moving in the right direction, trying to get these residency programs for the specialists up and running and get these Bhutanese specialists trained. And certainly, as they're trained, then hopefully the supply chain will catch up, because those specialists will know exactly what they do need.
How do you wish to work in future?
Yeah, absolutely. Having been at the National Referral Hospital 2 years now, and I teach a very specific skill set to the anesthesia residents. The senior resident I mentioned earlier, he's been through 2 years of my lectures now, and he's been through a bunch of clinical applications with me, and I really have confidence he has all my lectures. He could teach, he could do what I have done. I don't really feel like they need me here anymore at the National Referral Hospital, and it's a little bittersweet because I like the people and I like working there, but it's also it feels good because I know what I came here to do. I've accomplished that. Now a Bhutanese person can teach what I've taught here and do those things clinically. So what I would like to do in the future is offer workshops in the district and regional hospitals. You know, those providers there, being in the more remote locations, often work with fewer resources, often have less opportunity to continuing education than the providers here in Thimphu. So hopefully if we come back, we'll be able to see a bit more of the country. With the blessing of the Ministry of Health, we'll be able to go to places like Mongar and Galafu and go to the regional hospitals there and offer some workshops.
I hope so. And to Jenny, I'm sure there are some financial challenges, but what keeps you moving? What motivates you?
Experiencing other cultures and of giving back. It brings us such joy to be able to give back, and that's something that we really want to teach the children, is that when you have things, you need to share.
Before we wrap up the show, since we're running out of time, I would like to ask one question to each one of you all.
Of course.
And Bill, what is the one thing that you're going to take back to the U.S.?
From Bhutan, it's just the lesson that this is what's most important, just spending time with them, letting go of all the stress about buying stuff, paying for stuff. It's this feeling that what is most important is being close to them.
I would certainly agree with that. And I love how the Bhutanese are so appreciative and grateful. So I want to take that away and to be more grateful and appreciative of everything that we do have.
Isabel, one thing that you're going to take back home from Bhutan?
Being close to my family and having fun. How to eat rice with your hands.
Okay. And lastly, Stella, one thing that you're going to take back home from Bhutan?
Cooking.
This brings to the end of our show, and I want to thank everyone for being part of this show, and I would like to extend my best wishes to the family for the future endeavors. And back home to the viewers, do join us next time, and thank you for watching. Good night.